how you doing? Do you know when you see a friend's message and you mean to text them back immediately, but you don't end up getting back to them for weeks later? That's how I currently feel right now. I feel like we're two friends sitting down and we're catching up, and I'm explaining what's been going on, where I've been at, because I've been a little bit quiet. I have been more active over on Instagram than I have been over here, but I asked you guys if you had any questions for me, so I thought we could sit down and dive into them and have a big catch up here today, because I have missed you guys so much. You do not understand. You also do not understand what it took for me to be sitting here filming right here right now. Like, oh my goodness. Okay, let's just dive right on into it. So a lot of people asking, am I okay? And a lot of people assuming that I got bored with YouTube and I'm not into making videos anymore, which is just not the case. So my health has not been good recently. I've been really going through it with my health. For weeks and weeks and weeks now, I have been in agony. I have had this really bad pain in my right side going all the way down into my lower right back, all the way down in my lower tummy. And it was coming and going. But now it is constant and it is consistent, and the pain has been getting worse and worse and worse. And along with that, I've been having the worst fatigue I have had in my whole entire life. All of this also started on the back end of one of the heaviest periods I've ever had in my whole life. So I don't know what's going on. I've been at the doctor. I'm currently waiting for test results. I'm actually expecting a call today, which I have still not had. So I will be ringing the doctor after I film this video. And I'm also waiting to have more scans done. I'm really worried that it's something to do with my reproductive system. I've always been really honest with you guys with my health journey, and unfortunately all of my health issues this far have been linked to my reproductive system, like, you know, getting diagnosed with PCOS, how that took me so many years. Then last year I got diagnosed with PMDD. Something that's really worrying me is the fact that, you know, over the last 4 or 5 years I've been in hospital 3 or 4 times with this same pain, but the only difference is the other times I was in hospital I was also bleeding at the same time as having this pain. This time I'm not bleeding, but the pain is very similar to what I can remember. The only difference is it's getting so much worse than what I can remember in the past. But as you know, like, it's very hard to remember the exact pain you felt, because, you know, that's the beauty of the human body, is we naturally forget things. Like, you know, if women remembered how painful childbirth was, we wouldn't continue to have more kids, you know. We forget just how bad things are, you know, so they often feel like they've never been this painful. So I have been in and out of hospital over the years with this similar pain, and every time I've been in the hospital, they've put it down as a suspected ovarian cyst. Suspected being the main operative word here, you know, not positive, suspected, we think. I don't like that language when it comes to medical terms, because it leaves open a lot of room for other possibilities. And over the years, you know, when I was last in hospital in September 2022, when I sat down and I shared with you guys my whole experience of being in A&E, and it was pretty traumatic, etc. I have had a lot of you guys tell me that the symptoms, what I've been experiencing, sound very similar to the ones yous have had, and yous ended up being diagnosed with endometriosis. And that is something that's really worrying me now, because it's just so unexplained, like, and I'm in such a bad way now at the minute. Like, I am currently in agony. I have been swallowing painkillers like they are goddamn candies, and they are doing nothing for me. Nothing is easing the pain, and that was the same case, you know, over the years. During other times when I was in hospital with this similar pain, any strong painkillers I was given never helped the pain. But I've never had this pain be so persistent, and I've never had it for so long. As I said, I'm waiting for test results, I'm waiting for more scans, but it's just like a waiting game, and obviously it's causing me a lot of worry, a lot of stress. I'm trying not to, you know, go to worst case scenario, but also I'm just like, is this another like repeat of what happened with PCOS, where it took me so many years to get diagnosed, because they just kept dismissing me. Like, they just kept sending me home being like, yeah, it's probably just this thing, you're fine, oh, you're fine, when matter in fact there was something going on there, you know. I just don't feel like this kind of agony is related to my PCOS. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. You know, like, the doctor did tell me that, you know, if you have PCOS, most months a cyst will rupture, but most of the time you won't know it. However, for some women it does cause immense problems. Like, you know, cysts rupturing, because like they can grow in size, they can be bigger, etc, etc. Just the fact that it's been going on for so many weeks now and it's been getting progressively worse is obviously of concern. And I think what's just so frustrating for me is like any time I've been in A&E in the past, like the only thing they're concerned about is that to make sure it's not my appendix bursting, and once my appendix wasn't bursting, it's like they just didn't care, because obviously A&E is for emergency, you know, so it's emergency. So if you're not immediately going to die, they're kind of like, oh, on your way you go with some painkillers. So I've been really trying to avoid going to A&E because unless I feel like I'm literally going to drop dead. So I've been trying to take the other route, and the other route is obviously much more time consuming, you know, because you're waiting for results, waiting for appointments, waiting for scans, etc, etc. But I just feel like with my one too many experience in A&E, with what I'm experiencing right now, it's not of help to me, you know, because there's something deeper going on is what I feel, because I know my body. That's one thing I know for sure. I know my body and I've not been wrong thus far, and I'm really trying to advocate for myself now and push for myself. I just still don't have any answers. So that is where I've been at. So no, it's not that I've gotten bored of YouTube. I cannot tell you how much I've been struggling in my head. Like, I've had a bunch more of you guys asking, how are you doing mentally, emotionally? Not good, because, you know, when you're in physical pain and you're so limited and you're so idle, like there's only so many things you can do when you're in so much pain. My mind isn't good when it's left idle. I am not good relaxing, sitting around, taking it easy when I'm in physical pain. It's just, me and the two do not go together, because I need to be able to do things to keep my mind occupied. And if I cannot do things, my mind starts playing games with me. And because I've been so limited and I've not been able to do the things I've wanted to do, it's been like creating such intense anxiety within me. Not even related to the health stuff, just not being able to do the things I want to do on a day-to-day basis. I'm feeling so useless. It's been driving me up a wall. So I cannot tell you. I woke up today and I was like, I cannot cope with one more day like this. I was like, over my dead body, I will film today. I will set up. I will get ready. I will do everything that needs to be done to sit my ass down here to be able to film. And oh my God, I did it with the skin of my teeth. And Jeremy was there sending me voice notes. He was like, please, Jessica, please take it easy. Please stop pushing yourself. I was like, Jeremy, I actually can't. If I have to just take it easy for one more day, I will jump out the fucking window. Like, I can't cope anymore. Oh, so here we are. I just feel like, you know, your physical and mental health always go so hand in hand, because when you're so physically in pain and unwell and you can't do the physical things you need to do to help your mental health. One of you guys said you feel extremely guilty whenever you let yourself have a break. I hope you don't though, mate. 100%. And you know what the worst part is? That any time I've ever taken a break from posting YouTube videos, it's always been unintentional and it's always been health related. Like, I have never taken a break just to take a break. And I wish that was the case, but it just hasn't. And I feel like that makes it worse. When you're not choosing to do something, it's much harder to accept, even though, you know, your health really is your wealth. Like, literally, like, when we don't have our health, we have nothing else. Like, nothing else matters if we don't have our health, because we can't do anything else. But I find it really hard mentally to accept, because I'm like, right, I'm posting a video this week and then it doesn't happen, but not of my own choice, you know. And then the next week I'm like, no, this week, and then so many weeks pass by and I'm like, what the hell has happened? Like, where has all that time gone? I suppose it's just the way the cookie crumbles, isn't it? Unfortunately. Okay, we're going to move away from the health questions now and go into some other stuff, but I have my emotional support teddy bear here. So me and Jeremy went on a little holiday to Amsterdam in January, and beside our hotel there was an arcade, and there was only one teddy machine in the whole arcade, and the machine only had 2 teddies in it. One of them just happened to be a duplicate of Lady, and when Jeremy saw it, he was like, mark my words, I'm gonna win you one. And on his 3rd go, he won. And she came home with me, and like, she literally sleeps in the bed with us now every single night. Like, I'm just obsessed with her, but she really is my emotional support bear, because Lady's not here anymore. So she is here in furry spirit. I love her so much. Okay, how are driving lessons going? How do you feel about passing at an older age? So if you don't follow me on Instagram, you won't know this, but I booked my driving test in January. Can you believe it? It's actually worked out really well for me as well. I don't know if you remember last year when I was talking about, you know, starting my lessons, etc. I think it was like a 5 or 6 month wait, whereas now the driving test wait has gone down to 3 months. So I booked it at the very end of January. So that means hopefully in May I will have a driving test, which would just be insane because it would be so much earlier than I had anticipated it being. A lot of people get so confused when I keep referencing like doing my 12 driving lessons and then booking the test. They're like, that doesn't sound like many at all, but it's just the rules in Ireland. Like, I know every country's different, but here you just have to do 12 lessons and then you're allowed to book your test. It's just the law, it's just the rules here. But I'm going to be doing a bunch more before my driving test because obviously 12 lessons just isn't enough, I don't think, because I didn't buy a car. Like, I was toying with, should I buy a car? And, you know, obviously I can go out with someone then like Dermot or my dad and like, you know, practice, or will I just stick with my driving instructor, wait till I pass my test and then buy a car? And I just felt like, you know, obviously there's pros and cons with both, but I just felt like if I buy a car and I go out with Dermot or I go out with my dad, I'm going to pick up bad habits. I just felt like it was so much better to just stick with doing the driving lessons with my instructor, because at least then I'm not going to pick up any bad habits. And I feel like when it's so close, like the end is near, you know, the end is in sight. All going well, I passed my driving test the first time. That's going to be another story, hopefully, touch wood. Yeah, I just felt like it made more sense. So yeah, I'm going to be doing more driving lessons with my instructor before my test. And then once I pass my test, I'll look at getting my first car. But if you have any recommendations for your first car, please let me know below, because I haven't a clue. I am not a car girl at all. Like, when you ask me what kind of car that person has, like, I'm going to say a blue one or a red one. My dad always laughs at me, you know, it's such a woman thing. Like, I feel like, well, some women are really into cars, but a lot of us aren't. We just go off the colour. And I remember one day Dad was like, that'd be a lovely car. I'm not sure. I haven't even a clue what car it was. But I was like, oh, it's so ugly. And he was like, Jessica, he was like, you can't be picking a car off how it looks. I was like, yeah, but I don't want to think my car is fucking ugly. Like, I want to think my car is cute enough. And then, how do you feel about passing at an older age? I personally feel really good at passing at this age, because a year and a half ago, I genuinely questioned if it was something I'd ever be able to overcome, because I had such intense anxiety when it came to driving. So I was just like, will this be something I'll ever be able to do? And I was starting to really doubt myself. So the fact that I've actually done 12 lessons, paid and booked my driving test, I feel like superwoman. I genuinely feel like superwoman. If 21, 22, 23-year-old me could see me now, she'd be like, you go, girl, you go get it. But it's so funny how many people will try and shame you for it. Like, I've heard it all. People really try and have a go at you about not being able to drive. Like, it's embarrassing. Like, how embarrassing at your age you can't drive. And it's just like, well, sorry, mommy and daddy bought your car and your driving lessons as soon as you turned 17 years of age, and you weren't in a car accident when you were 18 and had your head smashed through the windscreen. Sorry. I suppose this is just another one of them things, like, where it's just like people just don't use their brains. You know, people have so many reasons for not learning to drive. For example, like me, having really bad anxiety or fear after being in a really bad car accident. If you live in the city, like if you live in Dublin or London, you don't need to learn how to drive because the public transport is so good. Like, when I lived in Dublin, I just put it to the back of my mind. I was like, I'm not gonna do that now. Also, privilege, like, you know, it's expensive to get on the road. Your lessons, your test, your insurance, your tax, buying a car, then the maintenance of a car. Like, a car is a money pit. Like, I have never experienced anyone I know having a car where something in it isn't breaking multiple times a year. It always needs new tires, or there's a light flashing on the dashboard and it needs to be brought into the garage, or this thing's making a funny noise. Cars are just a money pit. So there are so many reasons as to why people might not learn how to drive, or even if they can, why they mightn't have a car. Do you know what I mean? So most of these people who are like, had mommy and daddy pay for everything. That's what I just find so funny. It's like, sit down, darling. Bloody hell, got a bit passionate there, didn't I? Okay, so our next question. You miss alcohol. It's not even a question, it's just a statement, isn't it? You know what? I still haven't drank, would you believe? So I've been not drinking now for 12, 13, 14, over 14 months, which is just crazy. And I don't miss it. I literally don't miss it at all. And now I probably will drink again, but I never want to drink how I used to drink. Whenever I do drink again, I'm definitely going to have a limit on it, just because I cannot cope with the hangovers. I cannot cope with the anxiety. I cannot cope with the fear. I just can't cope with any of it. I cannot cope with acting in ways in which I would never act sober, and just creating unnecessary problems for myself, really. Me and my best friend were only on FaceTime the other day, and, you know, we were talking about some of our shenanigans from our teenage years. You know, we were a little bit wild. We had our fair few wild nights, and I just couldn't stop laughing, but I wouldn't want to live through it again, to be honest. Like, they're great memories. They are great memories, but oh my God, I just couldn't ruin my life like that anymore. So yeah, I don't miss it at all. Like, if I missed it, I would have had a drink by now, because like my goal was to do a year. I just feel like my life is so much better without it. And I'm very happy that I did it. Our next question is, what's your living situation at the minute? So I'm still living with Jeremy, still living in the same house what you saw us move into in 2022, I think it was, yeah. So we've been living here now for over a year and a half, which is just crazy. It's just so funny when you're renting, because it's such a hard line to try and make the space feel like your own, but then you don't really want to do so much because you're not going to be here for a super long time. And like, the more pictures you hang up, the more holes in the walls there are to fill in when you leave, you know, and stuff like that. Like, stuff like that is always playing on my mind. But I can't believe we've been living here this long already. It's absolutely insane. So the next question is getting deep here, but you said go wild. At what age would you like to start a family? I had quite a lot of these. Another one of you said, what age would you start trying for a baby? This is something I'm contemplating myself. So I would say I'd like to start trying for a baby 28, 29. I literally just turned 26 on the 25th of February. So another 2-3 years, I'd say I'd like to start trying. It's just so funny. Like, I've said this before, but I used to think I'd have kids by now. And it's so funny when, you know, when you're like 16 and you think 26 is so old, and then you get to 26 and you're like, I still feel 21. It's a really weird one, because we lost 3 years to the pandemic. So we lost 3 years of our 20s to the pandemic. And that's something that you have to keep reminding yourself of. Like, I've only had 3 years of my 20s out in the big bad world. You know, we haven't had our 20s in the way other people had their 20s. Or maybe that's your teenage years, you know, maybe you lost 3 of your teenage years, whatever stage of life you're in, you know, we did lose such a chunk of time. I've had so many questions about marriage, getting engaged. Do you and Dee want to get married someday? Are you and your boyfriend planning on getting engaged soon? We definitely want to get married. We talk about getting married and having kids a lot, but when it comes to engagement, the leap year has come and gone, and I didn't get down on one knee, and I will not be getting down on one knee, darling. So yeah, that's on him. And I don't know about you, like, I know girls are so different. Like, I know some girls give their partners an ultimatum, which could never be me. Like, I want you to want to marry me. I don't want you to want to marry me because I want you to marry me. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, I could not. But I just really wanted to be a surprise. I don't know. Like, and I know so many people seem to have an idea of when they're going to get engaged, but I just wouldn't want that. Like, I really wanted to be a surprise. Like, it's something that you're only going to experience once in your life, all going well. And I just don't want to ruin it for myself, because I know people really close to me who have ruined it for themselves. Like, I mean, just ruined it for themselves because they were getting impatient with not getting engaged. And that's their one moment then taken away from them, you know. We definitely want to get married someday, but when we'll get engaged, I have no idea. And it's not something that I really stress about. I'm just kind of like, it'll happen when it'll happen. When it comes to marriage and babies, like, we're on the same page. There's just certain things that we want to have in order before we do them things. And once them things are in order, then all cards are off the table. But you know life, sometimes these things happen sooner than expected, and sometimes they take a little bit longer. So we're just riding we're riding the motion of the ocean at the minute. Any exciting plans for the year? Oh, all I know for sure is that going over to see my best friend in Manchester again very soon. Then my brother's getting married this summer, which is so exciting. Me and my sister are going to be his best women, like, you know, best men, best women. I'm so excited. One of my friends is getting married next year, so her hen is on later in the year as well. Me and Jermaine really want to go on like a sun holiday this summer, because I've never been to Spain or Portugal or anywhere like that, would you believe? Which is just insane. It's like one of the first places most people go on holidays, and I've never been. See, like, my parents are not people who like the sun, so because my parents weren't like sun holiday people growing up, we never went on a sun holiday. And most of the holidays we went on were just like little trips in Ireland. Like, I only went abroad with my parents once in my whole lifetime. It was when I was like 12 or 13 and we went to London for a couple of nights. But yeah, that was the only time I've ever been abroad, you know, when I was younger. Most people normally go to Spain or Portugal, I feel, when they're a child or something, on like a family vacay or something, but I never went. So we're gonna look into going on a sun holiday this summer as well. But they're the only kind of like exciting plans I know so far. When I say I have been smiling through the pain this whole video, I don't say it lightly, but I'm just so happy that I got to sit down and catch up with you guys, because I cannot express how much I missed you guys. And I need to go and ring the doctor now, because they've still not contacted me. So back to chasing. I just feel like all I've done for so long is chase and chase and chase with no answers, and I'm determined I'm gonna get some answers this time. Like, oh my god, I am not backing down. Like, oh my god, I've got a new backbone. Like, I've been building this backbone since the last time I've been in hospital, and I'm coming for ye, and you're not letting me out of this place until I get some answers. That's where I'm at now. But yeah, just please let me know how you've been down in the comments below. If there's any videos you would like to see from me, I will be back super soon. And just thank you for your support. Thank you for your love over on Instagram. Your messages never go unnoticed. I see all your messages, even if I don't get a chance to get back to everybody. I always do my best. But yeah, please just update me down below. I love you so much, and I will see you all super soon. Bye bye.